Now, this is a game I've wanted to play for quite a few months now. I played the demo way back, like September or something. I even reviewed the demo. It was that good. And I tend not to review demos unless I have a real reason to. And I'm doing that as well with games now. Like, if I'm playing a game that's not brand new, I'm not going to review it unless I have something specific to say about it. Like in this case, or with Shantae, where I feel like the games that don't get enough credit and like more people really should play them. I'd say this is probably the best game on the Vita, like as a Vita exclusive at least. It's really good. Like, you can tell this game was made not just to make money, but because the devs had a really cool idea. Like, let's make a game where the central mechanic is that the player can control gravity. At times it's kind of simplified. Like, you can kind of carry things with your power, and mostly it's just you press R to float and then R to fly in a certain direction. But use it for attacks as well. Like, you use like a gravity kick, where like you use gravity to like propel yourself towards an enemy and kick them. And you get some other powers too. It's really cool. It's hard to discuss the story though, because, well, it kind of feels more episodic. There's not really an overarching story. It's just the main character, Kat, has amnesia and can control gravity. It's kind of almost like that's a setup for a TV show, and then it's like different episodes about her doing various things, and it's kind of like an undercurrent of her trying to find out who she is and the nature of her powers, but it really doesn't come up all that often, and there's not like some main antagonist that shows up at the start and is the final boss. It doesn't do that. So discussing the plot is a little difficult, but it's not a bad plot by any means, and I don't really have too much of a problem with the actual way they went about telling it. It's just a little difficult to discuss, really. But the main character, Kat, she's probably one of the most three-dimensional characters I've seen in games for a good number of years now. See, even though she has amnesia, she's not just naive, as you would think she might be. And, you know, she's not like emo or anything. It's not like having amnesia doesn't really take up a big part of her personality. It's just kind of a small thing. She's mostly cheerful, but, you know, she does get angry at people. And not just the villains either, like just people she's helping if they're a little difficult. She makes it clear when people are annoying her, and she displays quite a good variety of emotions, like the kind of things you won't see in a lot of game characters today. And, you know, I commend the devs for that, and it's easy to see why Kat was chosen to be one of the DLC characters for PlayStation All-Stars. Another thing I have to give the devs credit for is not overloading the game with these stupid, pointless touchscreen controls. Like, about as intrusive as it gets is you've beaten a boss, tap them to finish them. It's mainly just used for menu navigation for the most part. Although the gyro usage is kind of pointless. It's one of those where, you know, basically when you press R to you go into floating for your gravity controls, you can aim with the gyro. I'm not sure if there's a way to turn it off or not. Never really looked, so I can't really hold that against the game so much, but it's kind of pointless, honestly, the gyro. I guess some people might prefer it that way, but I don't. Although the gyro is kind of cool in the comic style cutscenes, because if it's made with multiple layers, the image, you can see a little more of it by tilting it. That's kind of cool. The game also has some DLC costumes, kind of fetishy, really. Like, there's this military one, a maid uniform, because, well, it's a Japanese game, so the character has to have a school uniform and a maid uniform, and this Catwoman-esque costume. But the 3 DLC costumes actually come with missions as well. I've not actually got any of them because, you know, it's like £3 odd for some missions and a costume. It's like, I don't really want them, so I can't really comment on them, but I think it's a little overpriced. If they were cheaper, I'd probably get them. You know, it's not just a costume, it's extra missions as well. But, you know, there's enough in the game as is. If I had to compare the game to another game, it would probably be Infamous, you know, because you don't really get this idea from the demo, but it is a sandbox game. You know, you can explore this whole map and use your powers to get around, and it is really fun using the gravity powers. and there's a bunch of side missions you can do, like in Infamous. So I guess if you liked Infamous, you might like this one. I can't really say what type of person necessarily would enjoy this. I mean, I guess if you're looking for something different, this is definitely it. If you want a really good game for your Vita, try and justify the purchase because there's hardly anything good on the Vita, even over a year after its release. This is still a really good game to get. And currently, you can get it for free if you have PlayStation Plus. So, there is a demo, so you can at least try that if you're not sure about buying the game. But, I think a lot of people really would like this, and I think it deserves a lot more attention than it gets. I hope they do make the sequel that they apparently want to, and I can highly recommend this one.